The killing fields are a number of sites in Cambodia where collectively more than 1 million people were killed and buried by the Khmer Rouge regime during its rule of the country from 1975 to 1979, immediately after the end of the Cambodian Civil War. The mass killings are widely regarded as part of a broad state-sponsored genocide. Analysis of 20,000 mass grave sites by the DCCAM mapping program and Yale University indicate at least 1,386,734 victims of execution. Estimates of the total number of deaths resulting from Khmer Rouge policies, including disease and starvation, range from 1.7 to 2.5 million out of a 1975 population of roughly 8 million. In 1979, Vietnam invaded Democratic Campuchia and toppled the Khmer Rouge regime. Cambodian journalist Div Pran coined the term "killing fields" after his escape from the regime. Genocide. See also Cambodian genocide. The Communist Khmer Rouge regime arrested and eventually executed almost everyone suspected of connections with the former government or with foreign governments, as well as professionals and intellectuals. Ethnic Vietnamese, ethnic Thai, ethnic Chinese, ethnic Cham, Cambodian Christians, and the Buddhist monkhood were the demographic targets of persecution. As a result, Pol Pot has been described as a genocidal tyrant. Martin Shaw described the Cambodian genocide as the purest genocide of the Cold War era. Ben Kiernan estimates that about 1.7 million people were killed. Researcher Craig Etchison of the Documentation Center of Cambodia suggests that the death toll was between 2 and 2.5 million, with a most likely figure of 2.2 million. After 5 years of researching some 20,000 grave sites, he concludes that these mass graves contain the remains of 1,386,734 victims of execution. A UN investigation reported 2 to 3 million dead, while UNICEF estimated 3 million had been killed. Demographic analysis by Patrick Huvline suggests that between 1.17 and 3.42 million Cambodians were killed, while Marek Slilwinski suggests that 1.8 million is a conservative figure. Even the Khmer Rouge acknowledged that 2 million had been killed, though they attributed those deaths to a subsequent Vietnamese invasion. By late 1979, UN and Red Cross officials were warning that another 2.25 million Cambodians faced death by starvation due to the near destruction of Cambodian society under the regime of ousted Prime Minister Pol Pot, who were saved by international aid after the Vietnamese invasion. Process. The judicial process of the Khmer Rouge regime for minor political crimes began with a warning from the Angkar, the government of Cambodia under the regime. People receiving more than 2 warnings were sent for re-education, which meant near certain death. People were often encouraged to confess to Angkar their pre-revolutionary lifestyles and crimes, being told that Angkar would forgive them and wipe the slate clean. Quote, "This meant being taken away to a place such as Tuol Sleng Chung Ek for torture and/or execution. The executed were buried in mass graves. In order to save ammunition, the executions were often carried out using poison, spades or sharpened bamboo sticks. In some cases, the children and infants of adult victims were killed by having their heads bashed against the trunks of chankiri trees, and then were thrown into the pits alongside the parents. The rationale was to stop them growing up and taking revenge for their parents' deaths. Some victims were required to dig their own graves. The weakness often meant that they were unable to dig very deep. The soldiers who carried out the executions were mostly young men or women from peasant families. prosecution for crimes against humanity. In 1997, the Cambodian government asked for the UN's assistance in setting up a genocide tribunal. It took 9 years to agree to the shape and structure of the court, a hybrid of Cambodian and international laws, before the judges were sworn in. In 2006, the investigating judges were presented with the names of 5 possible suspects by the prosecution on July 18, 2007. On September 19, 2007, Yuan Chi, second-in-command of the Khmer Rouge and its most senior surviving member, was charged with war crimes and crimes against humanity. He faced Cambodian and foreign judges at the Special Genocide Tribunal and was convicted on 7 August 2014 and received a life sentence. On July 26, 2010, Kang Kiew, director of the S-21 prison camp, was convicted of crimes against humanity and sentenced to 35 years imprisonment. His sentence was reduced to 19 years, as he had already spent 11 years in prison. On February 2, 2012, his sentence was extended to life imprisonment by the extraordinary chambers in the courts of Cambodia. Today, the best-known monument at the killing fields is at the village of Chung Ek. Today, it is the site of a Buddhist memorial to the victims, and Tuol Sleng has a museum commemorating the genocide. The memorial park at Chung Ek has been built around the mass graves of many thousands of victims, most of whom were executed after they had been transported from the S-21 prison in Phnom Penh. The utmost respect is given to the victims of the massacres through signs and tribute sections throughout the park. Many dozens of mass graves are visible above ground, many which have not been excavated yet. Commonly, bones and clothing surface after heavy rainfalls due to the large number of bodies still buried in shallow mass graves. It is not uncommon to run across the bones or teeth of the victims scattered on the surface as one tours the memorial park. If these are found, visitors are asked to notify a memorial park officer or guide. A survivor of the genocide, Dara Duong, founded the Killing Fields Museum in Seattle, Washington, U.S.